Your market news now. The rand firmed in early trade, helped by a weaker dollar and strong Chinese data. The dollar was down more than 0.2% against a basket of global currencies as traders tried to gauge the path of Federal Reserve policy. Taking some steam out of the dollar were comments from Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic overnight that slow and steady is going to be the appropriate course of action, despite new labor figures adding to the run of strong data of late out of the U.S. Locally, investment holding company Brait said that the initial public offering of the food producer Premier Group might be back on after a group of institutional investors and other parties approached the company. In terms of the performance of the company for the 10 months to end January, Premier has maintained its margins without giving up market share despite the higher costs of doing business because of power outages. To talk to us about the latest when it comes to the markets and also look back at the week that was, we are joined by Warwick Lucas from Galileo Securities. Warwick, thank you so much for your time. So, I'm not quite sure how to interpret a lot of the data coming through and also how investors are reacting to different, Fed presidents or Fed comments. When you look at what's happening either globally or even locally, what would you say is the biggest risk or risks for the market?
Okay, so globally, the key risks really are a trifecta of recession versus inflation versus rate hikes. Now, the curious thing is here, as we've seen, the US data continues to be quite a bit stronger than expected, which perversely means that rate hikes are more likely, and in so doing would actually wind up pushing stock markets weaker. In terms of much of the OECD, what we're seeing is that goods inflation might be moderating, but a lot of it is transitioning into services type inflation. As far as South Africa is concerned, inflation would normally be moderating on such weak GDP data as we have at the moment. But the supply side problems, particularly load shedding, are leading to stagflation because prices, I think, are getting hiked.
We're going to take a pause on this conversation.